Okay, so let's jump in then. So obviously I love what you do, and as a process, I have brought what we're talking about today into my Viva Club, into helping people recruit an A player as far as a virtual assistant goes, and obviously this works for whomever you want. So whether it's an operations manager, whether it's somebody to help you with your lettings, whatever it is within your property business. So where do we start? So we've now made that decision, right? I can either feel things are really getting on top of me, I know I need to get some help. Where do we start, Martin?
The first place we start is knowing that actually if we don't get it right, we'll make things worse than better. And everyone will end up frustrated, fed up. You'll lose faith that you can actually delegate to somebody, and that you have to hold everything to yourself. And typically, people doing this kind of thing tend to be very driven. To some degree, they're perfectionists, so they tend to hang on to things or over-control things. So the first thing is A players love working with A players. If you hire anything less, you're going to end up very frustrated, and so will the person working for you, because you will micromanage everything. So the first thing is to recognize we've got to get this right and do it well. A mishire in a sort of big organization can cost that business to 20 to 30 times that person's salary.
Wow.
When you think of if there's damage to the client base, if other team members leave, if they do something that creates damage within the internal systems, if you think of the lost growth opportunity, if you have someone for 2 years and it doesn't work out and you have to start all over again, and they were key to your growth plans, say they're a top salesman or etc., it can really set you back. So you add up all those costs plus the recruitment costs, etc., and your time, your money, your effort. It can cost a huge amount. So the first thing is commit to doing it well. And the classic pitfall, the classic mistake when people hire is they get some options, they get some CVs or some candidates, and they go through them, ask them some clever questions, hoping they're going to ask the question to reveal are they up for it or not, like, why do you want to work with me? And then they choose what appears to be the best of that bunch. So the question I love to ask is, if you see a car with its left indicator flashing, what does that mean?
Hopefully it's telling you it wants to turn left.
But is that all it means? Is that all it could mean?
Somebody might have forgotten that it's on.
Yeah.
It might be stuck on, if it's anything like my car.
Yeah, it was hazard lights, but one's broken.
Yeah.
It could mean anything. All you know with absolute confidence is that the light is flashing, is the bulb works. That's the only thing you actually know. And somebody good at interview questions, when you talk to them and you like them and they answer you well, all you know is they're likable and they answer questions well. If you want someone who's likable and answers good questions or answers questions well, you found your person. But the normal sort of recruiting process where you get CVs, ask some questions and hire the best of the bunch is not good enough. Because would you ever buy a second-hand car based on the tech spec in the window that tells you about the car, what the salesman says? Would you buy it based on those? No. Most people would take it for a test drive and go, I drive down this bumpy street, or I have to fit these goods in the back, in the boot or in the estate back. I've got to check these things fit. My stepfather used to play the cello. He'd always take his cello to buy a new car.
Wise plan.
So you need to have some simple but effective ways of testing your potential candidates very simply and quickly. So let's go into a bit more detail, if that's okay, how we do that.
Please do.
And what I do is firstly break it down into there's 3 essential qualities you need to be looking at. And incidentally, these are 3 skills or qualities any entrepreneur needs to develop. The first is technical know-how and competence. You have to build the skills of your craft. And the second is drive, attitude, motivation, character qualities. So I personally, this is a whole sidetrack. When people say attitude is everything, it's seriously important, it's foundational, but it's only one of 3. So you have to build technical know-how, technical skills and competence. And the third is you've got to be good at relationships, people skills, teamwork skills. And if you're an entrepreneur, your network is the third of the holy trilogy of being a great entrepreneur. Who you have around you is absolutely central. So you need your team members to have those 3 same skills, or they're going to frustrate you. They have to be great technically, have really good drive and attitude, and they've got to be good at communication skills, people work, teamwork skills, because they're going to work with you for a start. And they're going to be working with others potentially. So when you've got those three areas, you then go, what are the 3 to 5 mission critical skills or qualities I need in each? Do they need to be really good at following process? Might be one of them. They've got to be a demon at using Excel or some other bit of software. Or do I want someone who will always go the extra mile? Someone who's good at early mornings? And in relationships, do I need someone who has natural charm and ability because they're going to be introducing me to a lot of potential people? What are the teamwork skills? Do they have to be really good at concise emails? Do they have to be good at written skills, phone skills? So, for example, this filtering process and testing people, having written out those qualities, I will then say, okay, there's 3 main stages when you're trying to get the right person you're going to work with, whether it's a VA, whether it's a subcontractor, whether it's an employee, whether it's a freelancer, whatever it is. So, for example, if you needed that person really good at process, who follows detailed instructions, you might say in your advert, send your CV on 2 sheets of A4 paper. It's got to be double-sided. We want you to use 11-point Adobe Caslon typeface. I'm not sure you can ask for photographs anymore, but back in the day, you might say we want a 3 by 2 centimeter black and white photograph, 2 millimeters from the left-hand corner. Most of your candidates are going to say, they don't need that. I'll send what I always send. But if you've given them specific instructions, or you might say in a covering letter, tell us this, and this. Most of your candidates won't. 1 or 2 will actually nail every point. It already shows you those will follow detailed instructions.
And I probably wouldn't even apply.
And that's what you're trying to do, is scare off those who would go, well, I don't want to do that, because when they work for you, guess how they're going to show up. But if you ask them, how are you at following process? Oh, yeah, I'm really good.
Yeah.
Most people will tell you the answer.
That you want to hear, absolutely.
When you fly to America, the green card used to say, I don't know if it still does, are you here as a terrorist? Are you here to deal in drugs? And there's one other crazy thing. What are you going to put, yes or no? Oh. Yeah, I'm here as a drug dealer and a terrorist. You're going to put, no, I'm not.
Yeah. Oh, that's
so anyway, you've got to test. And then, so there's that first stage. You've got to filter people out quickly, going, the skills that are easiest to test, that show up most frequently. Or, for example, if you need someone to do sales calls, you might just send a reply, we'd love to talk to you. Please make contact to arrange an interview. You don't give them any other information. They have to use their initiative to make contact with you, and you can see how well that they do that. And some people, without absolutely all the information, will go, oh, I don't know what to do, and do nothing. So you filtered them out already. Do you sort of see the gist of this?
Yeah, absolutely. It's such a sort of a simple but clever process, and we'll keep coming back to it. But I have put the link in directly to Martin's website, where you can get free downloads of this as well. So it's incredibly useful. But when you've talked about those 3 qualities up front, the technical know-how, attitude, and relationships, so presumably you're definitely going to have some roles that are really weighted in certain areas, presumably, because you might have a technical kind of more geeky role, where perhaps relationships is going to be less. So that presumably would be the relationship with you and the communication, even though it might be more email. When I'm thinking about my fabulous VA, it's all about WhatsApp. I mean, we've tried multiple other things, but when I need to know that she's seen the message, and WhatsApp is the only one that brilliant, she's seen the message, I can let that go. I know she's now doing something about it. Presumably each of those, is there a way of kind of splitting that out? Is that how you kind of think of it, this 3 sort of separate areas?
Exactly as you've said, that's a really good example. And yes, there will be a weighting, in which case, say it's all technical, you may have 5 to 7 mission critical things that they need to be good at. But I would encourage anyone never to dismiss the other 2. You will come up with 3 to 5 that really matter. And if you're not thinking hard enough, then you're not recruiting well enough, because there's always 5 drive, motivational, attitude, character qualities. You may even assume, well, of course people have that. I wouldn't hire anyone that doesn't, but write them down. And just make sure, have you really evidenced that? have you really seen that they will go that extra mile if that's important to you, or if they've got to be good at early mornings? Make the meeting, make your first contact with them an early morning contact. For example, there's a client I worked with who they knew a lot of their candidates would come from London, but they're based on the South Coast. And they wanted people who would be there 9 o'clock every day. So they made sure they set their interviews for 9 o'clock. And of course, 70% of the candidates coming from London said, could we make it 11? I can get an easier train. Guess what's going to happen as the job goes on? For the first 3 months, they'll be coming at 9 o'clock. But they needed someone in at their desk at 9 o'clock for that role. So it filtered out a lot of people immediately.